Good afternoon. I'm Coach Dan, and I have been working with runners over the last 18 years, uh, hordes of runners, training them right from the 10K to the ultra marathon, around 100 miles. And over the course of these 18 years, I have been able to see runners, getting into injuries for various reasons. We know that the foremost reason why a running injury happens is due to overuse. But underlying that, there are many other factors pertaining to, let's say, strength in the muscles or strength imbalances, not so adequate flexibility or flexibility imbalances. There can be issues on running surfaces which are unyielding. Then there are issues pertaining to, running shoes are the most neglected cause of running injuries. And amongst all these, if you really see, it is the gait. Running gait is a prominent cause of running injuries amongst runners. If you were to take, let's say, watch a slow motion video of runners participating in a race, let's take, for example, the largest race that happens in the country with 20,000 runners in the half marathon and about 10,000 in the full marathon. On the one hand, you would see close to perfect execution of gait amongst the elites. And then if you were to watch the gait of all of the recreational runners who participate in these marathons, you would see various sizes, heights, genders, and various kinds of gait movements. And you would, from a visual assessment, know that such gait abnormalities, if I were to use the extreme word, are likely to likely to be a cause of injuries in runners. Now, whereas in my assessment of all these runners and the injuries that they have had, we use gait training or retraining, as it were, almost every single day with our runners. The reason being that gait training takes a little bit of time. If a runner is coming back from injury or even performing gait training, there are very fundamental requirements for you to be able to execute perfect form. And those requirements are strength and flexibility. So if you do not have a very good strength to body weight ratio, or you do not have enough flexibility in your hamstrings, most predominantly, because extension is something that most runners don't end up getting, and that's the reason why they don't get the correct, let's say, amount of stride in their form. So if these two are in place, you would be able to execute perfect form to a large extent. And so in another 2 or 3 minutes, I will precisely show you the kind of running gait that we make our runners do in every single session. And this is not just to correct their running gait, it can be used as a form of dynamic stretch. It can be used as a form of a perfect warm-up. And we have seen that when we give visual cues to the runner. In one of my slides, it may be intensely technical in terms of physio assessing a certain gait. But for our runners, we talk to them about the hip dropping or the foot not landing below the hips, which is precisely one of the most important things in gait. If you were to neglect everything else and just assess whether a runner is overstriding and therefore the foot landing is not below the hips, you would be able to prevent so many injuries in runners. All right. So from a historical perspective also, we know that abnormal gait mechanics cause running injuries. So there are two types of feedbacks. One is the visual feedback, which I spoke about when we get runners to do running gait, and then we tell them what exactly is wrong in terms of either the heel not coming to the butt or the knee not moving high enough. Uh, these are the visual cues that we can give the runner. But there are also real-time cues which are based on sensors, which I've seen out in this symposium, that there are possibilities of being able to give feedback about muscle use or disuse in when doing running gait. And this is the kind of feedback. In this instance, it was about runner landing too heavily, and you can see this in many instances, even on a treadmill in the gym. If you watch two runners, one is soft-footed, the other is slamming the treadmill, and that's exactly where, if you were to give a cue to the runner as to how they could possibly land a little softer, that the shock wave and the force seen by the knees, ankles, and the hip would be sufficiently reduced. So without much further waste of time, I will share with you the video of running gait which we get our runners to do. You will see that the video is perfect form, but when we get our runners to do it, we use this to make an assessment of what exactly is wrong, not just with the form, but in terms of their power or strength, their plyometric ability in executing that form. So most of the work pertaining to the references on visual feedback or real-time feedback, I was able to get from this particular author. And let's go now straight away to running gait. All right, so you can see that running gait is functionally broken up into various components pertaining to the knees, the hips, or the heel coming to the butt. And these functional movements, when taught individually to a runner, it puts together much like a dance where each step is taught to a dancer separately, and then functionally everything, when it's put together, you get perfect gait, and therefore it forms a very great assessment of potential for not just injury but whether the runner would be able to manage their runs successfully.